I'm going to give you this introduction while you are looking at the pretty title screen. As you can see, I decided to do my project on the ecosystem of the South American rainforest. The rainforest covers about 7% of the Earth's surface. The South American rainforest is the largest in the world. This biome is known for its rainy but warm weather, making it very humid. This huge biome contains many different ecosystems, and I'll be diving into some of them. In case you were wondering what an ecosystem is, even though I'm sure you already know, I will tell you. It is a biological community of organisms that are interacting with each other and the environment. Now that you have an understanding of this biome and what an ecosystem is, let's get on with the rest of the presentation. One of the first abiotic factors is temperature. The weather for this week alone was rainy/thunderstorms with 80-degree heat. The average temperature there year-round is 82.4 degrees, which is compounded due to heavy humidity. It can go as high as 91 degrees or as low as 71 degrees, which that's not very cold, so they're living a warm life. Another big part of the climate is in the name, rainforest. The amount of rainfall gives the forest a very high humidity. And you think the humidity would stop people from going, but no, many tourists go and are unprepared for the weather. Another abiotic factor is rainfall. Different areas of the rainforest experience different amounts of rainfall. The average amount of rainfall is 120 inches, which is 10 feet. Some areas can even get 400 inches of rainfall, and that's 33 feet. That would definitely be a flood. A lot of the rain falls between October and May, but it still rains year-round there. In areas such as Iquitos in Peru, the snow melting off the mountains runs down to the rivers, and it causes the water level to rise. So another abiotic factor goes with rainfall. It's water. The Amazon River is the second largest river in the world, and that's coming in at 4,000 miles. 20% of the world's fresh water flows through that raging river. The water in the South American rainforest provide a living space for over 2,500 species. Deforestation, however, has sadly been affecting the water cycle in the rainforest. The process of transpiration has not been able to occur as well with the lack of trees, so the precipitation clouds have been lower in content. The content is higher in clouds over the forest areas, proving that deforestation is affecting the water cycle. This also affects the quality of the water. Many other rivers participate in the water cycle, such as the Rio Napa or the Tocantins River. It's not just the Amazon River, there's lots of them. The next abiotic factor is location, and the Amazon rainforest is located in 9 different countries. The majority is located in Brazil, which is about 60%. The rest can be found in Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. French Guiana is technically an overseas territory, but we will still count it. Abiotic factor, soil. 3/4 of the soil is a clay-like laterite, which is reddish, yellowish, orange. It is acidic with poor nutrients. There's also a man-made soil called terra preta. This soil has a high concentration of charcoal, which is not good either. Much of the soil is very sandy-like, and the soil in the Amazon rainforest is actually the poorest in the world. The humus layer is nearly non-existent because it's always washed out by rain. So how do these lively plants grow on such terrible soil? Nutrients from decaying plants and animals are recycled through the ecosystem and absorbed by the plants and stored there. Actually, when I was looking for stuff on the soil, I found this article that was titled "The Amazon Nutrient-Rich Rainforest on Useless Soil," and I just thought that described the soil perfectly. Here are some pictures of the soil, and you can see how bad it looks. See, like barely any plants are regrowing on the soil, but it's like a clay-like and reddish, yellowish, orange color. And that's what happens when deforestation happens. Here's more of it. And here's the terra preta soil that I described earlier of the man-made one. Yay, finally to the biotic factors. This one is of plants, and it's the heliconia flower, also known as the lobster claw, which makes sense if you look at these. That looks like a lobster claw to me. And it may grow up to 15 feet tall. It is found to be red, orange, or yellow, usually tipped with a bright gold splash, like the one in the picture. There are 3 main species, hanging, giant, or small. They are, of course, a producer. Their main niche is to provide food and be eaten by many different insects, also to provide shelter for maggots, bacteria, protozoas, and they make their homes in the little, these little pods. And they're also to provide shelter for frogs and bats. I guess since they're 15 feet tall, they can kind of hide underneath them. Its habitat is in the partial shade or full sun locations. The soil must be well draining and moist. So another biotic factor is of the plant community, and it is the cacao, which is actually the cocoa tree. Its seeds are used to make the ever-famous chocolate that we know and love, and I find it funny that the scientific name means food of the gods, which honestly makes sense because, I mean, I eat chocolate. So that saying, food of the gods, perfect sense. They grow from 20 to 40 feet, usually staying in the lower range, so around 20 to 25 feet. A mature cocoa plant produce fruit that look like elongated pods. They usually yield 70 of these fruit annually. Its main niche is to provide food for monkeys and bats and squirrels, and these animals like to eat the pink pulp that's like soft and wet, and it cushions the inside of the beans, instead of like the hard outside. It's also provided us with sweets, but that's not a niche of the ecosystem. It can also be used for medicinal purposes, and the trees are a good shelter for small animals such as squirrels. Their habitat is the understory of the rainforest. They can also grow in clumps along river banks. They usually grow at 300 or less above sea level, so they grow above sea level but at 300 or less feet. Another biotic factor is the coffee plant, and is actually the most widely traded commodity. But Burke, you should know that. You had a coffee every day in class, and I'm sure you're still getting them at home. This plant is an angiosperm producer, and it is considered a bush or a shrub that grows 3 meters tall. The fruits, like the seeds, contain a large amount of caffeine and have a distinct sweet taste and are often juiced. The caffeine in the beans serve as a natural toxin which defends against predators. However, that same caffeine attracts pollinators such as bees to come and pollinate it. Its niche is to provide food for birds and coffee for humans. Next up on the biotic factors is the rhinoceros beetle. Sounds like I'm introducing a fighter, which honestly I could be, because they are the strongest animals on the planet. Perspectively, of course, they can lift 850 times their own weight. So to put it into perspective, if a normal human had that strength, they could lift a 65-ton object. They are found under leaves or fallen logs, and they eat decaying plant matter, fruit, nectar, and sap. They are eaten by pigs, rats, ants, and other beetles. Their own kind, gosh. The horns on the male are used to ward off other males from a female during mating rituals. Ah. Next we have the biotic factors. We have an amphibian that's a poison dart frog. A dart frog's poison is strong enough to kill 10 men with a single dose of it. In the skin gland is an alkaloid toxin called brachytoxin. If the poison enters your bloodstream, you will likely be dead in under 10 minutes. They live in the rainforest, in trees, under leaves, logs, and rocks, and sometimes on the forest floor. They have very few predators because of their toxicity. However, they do have one that has formed a resistance to their venom. This creature is the Lemidolphus epinephrylus, which is a type of snake. They are believed to get their toxicity from insects they eat. So I guess that explains. But still, what insects are they eating? And they are secondary consumers. Next up on biotic factors is a really cute monkey, and it's the pygmy marmoset. This species of monkey is known for being the smallest monkey and one of the smallest primates in the world. It is just over 100 grams, which is about a stick of butter, and that's the cutest thing ever. Their habitat is high in the rainforest canopy, and they use their lower canines to drill bark, which allows for the leakage of sap for food-eating purposes. It is their favorite food. They eat both plants and animals, making them omnivores. And they also have fingernails that are like claws for climbing up trees so they can get to the sap, and also it's where they live. The food they eat is part of their niche, and eating the stuff from the trees affects the health of the trees. They are also food for vipers and jaguars, sadly, because they're the cutest things ever and I don't want anyone to eat them. Next is the Amazon River dolphin. Their habitat is, of course, the Amazon River. They use sonar to locate prey hiding in the river. They prey on fish, shrimp, crabs, piranhas, and turtles. They are carnivores. They also do this funny thing where they flush a brighter shade of pink when they are excited. They can also move their neck back and forth due to an unfused vertebrae, which is pretty cool. Next we have the capybara. They are semi-aquatic creatures and like to live along rivers and near bodies of water for that reason. They have long brittle fur which dries quickly on land. They also have partially webbed feet. They use their long sharp teeth for grazing grass and eating water plants such as giant water lilies. They eat about 6 to 8 pounds of grass a day. They are eaten by jaguars, anacondas, caimans, pumas, ocelots, and harpy eagles. Next we have margays. They are wild nocturnal cats. Sadly, these cats are decreasing in numbers due to habitat loss. They live in trees, making their nests in hollows. They are great tree climbers, so they tend to eat animals in the trees, such as sloths, monkeys, lizards, birds, and climbing rats. They can climb trees head first due to ankle flexibility. Next we have the South American tapir. Their numbers are dwindling due to habitat destruction and poaching for their meat. Aww. It is a herbivore feeding on leaves, buds, small branches, fruit, grasses, and aquatic plants. Crocodile and jaguars are its predators, and they live near water and are capable swimmers and divers. So it starts with sunlight, giving it to the producer, and giant water lilies would give energy to capybaras. Capybaras would give energy to the caimans, and caimans would give energy to jaguars, and that would all go to decomposers and recycle the nutrients back. If we looked at it like a trophic pyramid, then it would be 10% energy transfer each time. So it would be like 1,000 to 100 to 10 to 1. So a food web kind of explains itself. So the producers are eaten by the primary consumers. Primary consumers are eaten by the secondary consumers, and the secondary consumers are eaten by the tertiary consumers. But it's not specifically that simple, because they mix up and eat different levels. They don't just stick to eating the level below them. They'll mix it up and get their greens or do the whole shebang. Next we have the extinct animal, and I picked the phoberomes because they sounded interesting. They are large rodents that used to live by rivers in the South American rainforest. They are also close relatives of the modern chinchilla. They are the largest known rodents at around 1,545 pounds, and this is just according to their fossils. That's about the size of a buffalo. All we know about them, though, is from the fossils that we have found. Next is the predator-prey relationships, and one of the first ones I have is the harpy eagle and the macaw bird. Next we have the predator-prey relationships, and we have the harpy eagle and the macaw. The eagle hunts prey from a high perch, and once it sees its prey, it'll swoop down and grab the animal with its talons. Now we have the caiman and the capybara. The capybara can't escape into the water like they normally would because caimans can swim, and so they are out of luck there. Next we have jaguars and two-toed sloths. Two-toed sloths can only escape by using their symbiotic relationship. The symbiotic relationship that sloths use is with algae. The algae can grow on the sloth's back because of how slow they move. This gives the algae gives the sloth a camouflage to hide from predators in a mutualistic relationship. A competitive relationship is smaller trees and plants under the canopy competing for sunlight that peeks through. It's not your average competitive relationship between like two top predators, but it is still competitive. Last but certainly not least is the environmental issue. Deforestation in the rainforest is happening to make way for ranching, agriculture, factories, and even homes. This deforestation has caused many plants and animals to die or lose their homes, such as the endangered species I mentioned previously. The clearing of trees causes less transpiration to occur, which means less rainfall, which I also previously mentioned. One way to prevent this is stop the taking down of trees by setting laws and regulations. That's my presentation. Thank you for listening/watching, and have a good life!